Hey, 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 welcome back to Hex and Harmony. This is episode 26. And before we get started, I want to give you a little update. So, life has been lifing hard for me. I don't know about everybody else, but it's really been lifing hard for me. But we really love this podcast and what we do here, so we want to keep it going. But we are going to temporarily reduce to one episode per month, which we will be releasing on the full moon only for the next few months. And hopefully when things settle down for me a little bit, we can get back to our normal 2 episodes each month. So I just wanted to give you a little heads up about that, so you're not wondering where we're at and why there's not an episode dropping later this month. That is why. So, okay, today's topic is for the people who are in it. And I'm not talking about the in it that you can fix with a bath and a playlist. I mean the kind of in it where you're overwhelmed, maxed out, grieving, panicking, shutting down, snapping at people, or just trying to get through the day without falling apart, kind of like I am right now. That's why I wanted to be the one to lead this conversation. So in those types of seasons of your life, your spiritual practice can feel like it disappears, or it can feel annoying and you're like, what the heck is going on? And I'm going to say it the way that nobody wants to say it. Sometimes big ritual energy feels like bullshit when your life is on fire. So if you've been feeling like you can't meditate, can't connect, don't care, you're too tired, or you don't even want to be spiritual right now, good. You're normal. This episode is about spiritual work during crisis, which is not about being peaceful or enlightened. It's about staying with yourself. It's about tiny practices, micro rituals, and minimum viable spirituality that still works when you are exhausted and human. So we're going to talk about what counts and how to stop shaming yourself for being in survival mode. If your spiritual practice feels like it evaporated, I want you to listen to this episode all the way through. So, let's start. When life is in crisis, spirituality stops being about growth and starts being about survival. So, I want to ask you guys, what does spirituality actually look like for you when life is hard?
Okay, I guess I'll go first. The things that you said that really resonated for me, and the point that I was going to make is that when you're in crisis, or whatever, when you're in emergency mode or whatever, spirituality doesn't have to be enlightenment. It doesn't have to be whatever. Spirituality becomes survival and endurance. It just means getting through it. And you can turn to your spirituality, lots of people do, just to help you get through it. It doesn't have to be big ritual, like you said, and it doesn't have to be love and light all the time. You can use spirituality to endure, to harden yourself if that's what you have to do, to comfort yourself if that's what you need. It really just depends on your actual crisis. You have to kind of define the crisis to know what you have to do to get through it.
True. Because every crisis is different, and how you're going to react to it is different.
Right.
So, I agree with what Tegan said. And also find, after lifes, and you get the lesson that you have to listen to yourself enough times. I found that after getting in that cycle of listening, at least just doing, like Tegan said, something small. Doesn't have to be some elaborate thing, but just something small, just to maintain your sanity, you shall say, or maintain your connection to something. And just, like I said, whatever the crisis is, but just to do something small to stay connected.
Right. And I liked what Belit said about listening, because that's really important, to listen to yourself and listen to your body, and listen to the earth, and you can find comfort, or you can find advice even just by listening and looking at things around you, because the universe will send you a message. It might send you a hint of what you can do. It might it just send you some comfort, even if it's a hummingbird that is out of season, or whatever. But listen to your body and what your body needs, and listen to the earth, listen to the universe. I like that.
And I will say I agree with that, and that's core to what I'm dealing with right now, and how I'm honoring my spirituality right now with everything that I'm dealing with. I've pretty much stopped any form of what would look like spirituality to most people, because I just don't have the energy for it right now. But I've gotten a whole lot more in tune with listening to my body and going, okay, I need to rest. I need to just spend time by myself. I need to just be away from doing things and expectations, and honestly, Netflix or Disney Plus or Hulu or Amazon Prime and Apple TV, and all my subscriptions have become my spiritual practice. I'm like, I just need to decompress. There's so much going on for me personally, with family health challenges and other family issues, and with work, that I can't perform ritual. I can't do spirituality right now, and my body is tired, and I can try to press through that and do things, because it's like, yeah, I should, and I'm saying that in quotation marks, but I should meditate. I should light a candle. I should do this. And I'm like, I just don't have the energy to even light a daggone candle right now. And that may be sad, but that's the point I'm at. But I can lay on the couch and watch some TV. And if that helps me to feel better, and depending on what I'm watching, will feed my soul and feed my spirit better than other things. But I'm honoring what I need in the moment when I do that. So I'm not sorry.
No, and you shouldn't be sorry. You don't have to apologize. You're doing what you have to do.
Exactly. So I think a lot of people feel guilty when they get numb or apathetic. I'm not guilty. I used to be when I got like this back in the day, but I'm now at a point where I don't care what other people think, and I don't feel that way about times when I get like this. But I am curious about, what do you say to yourself when you're not showing up the way you think you should in your practice? Or do you have moments where you feel like that?
Well, I would remind myself that should is just borrowed pressure, wearing my own voice. I mean, a long time ago, I let go of the word should. You should be doing this and you should be doing that. I do what I need to do. And if I'm in a cycle where I can't do as much as I do at other times, I just remind myself that it's just borrowed pressure. You shouldn't. I mean, there is no should. You do or you don't. There's no should.
Right.
And you can or you can't, or you want to or you don't want to. There really is no should. There's nothing that you should do.
I like that.
Yeah.
Do either of you think that numbness, when we feel that way, is trying to protect us from something? And if so, what do you think that might be? And I'm sure it can change from situation to situation, but in general.
I think numbness sometimes might not be in a capacity to be able to deal with something. So spirit, source, whichever name you choose to use, is sometimes protecting you from things, because it might be whatever else is lifing at the moment might be just too much. So put that to the side for a minute so we can just make it, through the day.
Yeah. I mean, I can't really answer that. That's going to be, what numbness is protecting us from. That's different for every individual. But I think it can be a sign that you need to break things down into their smaller components, because I think numbness is a sign of being overwhelmed. And it's easier, I mean, I'm not saying it's not easy, but it's easier if you just break things instead of trying to deal with everything all hitting you all at once. You have to just break it down and deal with one small thing at a time, whatever you can control.
Yeah.
I agree with both of those. And I think that sometimes when we feel numb, it's not that we're being protected from something. I do think sometimes that's the case. And sometimes we are overwhelmed and need to break things down. But I think sometimes we're feeling numb just because there's so much going on in the world.
Mhm.
It's just constantly stimulation coming at us. And it's easy to get to a point where we just need to stop dealing with all that. And not necessarily that we need to be protected from current events, but we need to step back from it and take a break to take care of ourselves. And sometimes the numbness is a way of getting us to do that we might not necessarily do otherwise, because we know we need to do it, because we know we have to rejuvenate ourselves and fill our own cup first and all that self-care stuff. And I'm not saying that as that's not true, because it is, and we know that and everything, and I even teach that, so I'm not saying that that's not the case. But just because we know it, it's easy sometimes to say, well, there's so much negative going on in the world. It's my responsibility to stand up and fight back and to advocate for justice. But sometimes we don't have to take on that responsibility. We're not the only humans on this planet. Somebody else can stand up sometimes and do it. There are times that it's perfectly okay for us to feel numb and step back and step down and not be the one on the front lines fighting for justice and peace and all that stuff. And then we come back to it later. It doesn't mean we have to step away from it forever, but sometimes the numbness is telling us that we, at this moment, need to not be the ones out there doing the work.
Yeah. And sometimes numbness is just providing us shelter, to think. Where if you can block out all of that emotion and all of that, whatever it is, pain and confusion and grief and anger and, whatever, the numbness provides shelter from that so that you can regroup.
Yeah.
And maybe subconsciously, it could even be on a subconscious level that that's what's happening, is that you're regrouping during that time.
That is true.
Yep.
So let's talk about the pressure to do the big, beautiful rituals, because that pressure can feel brutal in crisis. So what is your honest relationship with big rituals? Do they help, or do they feel like another thing to perform? Because for me, I'm not a big ritual person anyway. I'm more of a small, everyday magic kind of person. I do a lot with candles. I do a lot with incense, and I do a lot with energy. I do big rituals when I'm like doing things collectively, but for my everyday spiritual practice, I'm not a big ritual person. But there is that pressure out there around other people. And I know I say I don't care what other people think, and I don't, but it's still there. Whether you care about it or not, there's that expectation when you look at everything else going on and you see things online or whatever, all these witchy practices that are huge rituals and whatever, and it's like, yeah, that's not my thing, and it's not, but there's still, because it's there, it's the expectation. It's kind of like, where we have the whole societal expectation of like a woman needs to be a certain way and look a certain way, and we don't necessarily care about that or ascribe to it, but the pressure's still there because that's what society puts out there. So,
Yeah.
so even though I am not a big ritual person, that pressure and expectation is still there. So what is your take with that?
I agree with you. I'm not big ritual person per se. I'd like to keep it simple because sometimes it can be, you go through all this elaborate fanfare and bells and hoops and whistles and all of that, and you lose sight of what you're doing for trying to make sure that you're doing this humongous, grandiose thing. When, then that takes energy away from what it could be that you're focusing on, because you got to make sure that you got the apame and chalice and the sand and all of these things. But, if you're looking to actually do the magic, I just don't think we need all of that all the time. And sometimes I agree with the collective thing, for a collective thing, because, you're combining the energies of more than one person. And a lot of times, when more than one person is gathered, But
I'll be honest, I don't even have the ritual objects like the athame and the chalice and this and that. I don't even have them. That's how not big ritual I am. I don't even have them.
Well, on this one, I am a little bit different. I mean, I do not do big ritual on any set schedule. I'm not the kind of girl who has to pull out, all the stops for every little occasion. But, however, doing a full ritual for me helps me connect. I mean, when I feel like I need to strengthen my connection to my spirituality, a big ritual can actually help. And it doesn't have to be, I don't do ritual with other people. It's always a solitary practice for me. And like I have it down pat. So it's not like I need to do some big performance. It's for me, it's for me and my gods and goddesses. But I feel like even in times of crisis, not every time, but there have been times when doing the big ritual, going through the whole thing and drawing the circle and calling the quarters and, doing all of that stuff, it has helped me feel connected like strengthening those connections and grounding me. You know, when you carve a circle out of time and out of, out of space, that's also a shelter of protection, and it amplifies, I guess, your energy in times when you may need to feel recharged. It's like recharging, I guess, sometimes. But again, it's not something that I do all the time. I might not even necessarily do it for every Sabbath, but it's in my toolbox. It's there when I need it. And it's there when I really mean business.
So if you were going to do a ritual, but you were in some kind of crisis, like life was life, and you just had so much going on, but you still wanted to do a ritual, but it couldn't be a full ritual, what would be the minimum viable ritual that you would do? Or what components would you have to have for it to feel like it helped you, since you are a ritual person?
I mean, bare minimum for me to feel like I was actually making some kind of progress doing a ritual, I would have to call a circle, draw a circle, and probably call the quarters, because they do give me a lot of strength. And make some kind of affirmation inside the circle, and whether I might invite the goddess, I would not probably invoke anything else, but just ask the goddess to be there with me, and just let energy build and just sit or stand inside that energy. That would be like a minimum. And I mean, I'm talking like 10 minutes tops. I'm not talking like a 2-hour big old ritual. I'm like 10 minutes tops to do the whole thing. And at the end of that, more than likely, I mean, I can't, make guarantees, but at the end of that, more than likely, I'm going to feel better, at least for a little while.
Yeah.
And I'm going to feel like I've done something, that I've taken a step forward to try and solve, or to gird myself for whatever's coming next, or, it does feel like I've done something to help myself.
So what is a tiny spiritual practice that you can do even when you feel wrecked?
We've talked about this before, and drinking a glass of water like it matters. I mean, not blessing it or charging it, or, leaving it out in under the full moon and drinking it and blah, blah, blah. Just drinking a glass of water and feeling the water go down my throat and feeling it hydrate my body. That's a very tiny practice that you can do even when I'm wrecked. Just stop for 10 seconds and drink a glass of water and be in that moment.
For me, it's breathing, pausing, stopping what I'm doing, and being cognizant of my breath.
Yes.
I agree with both, because I do both. So,
I mean, I say that as I'm drinking water. So what does that tell you?
right.
Do you have a small micro ritual that helps you come back into your body?
I don't even know if this counts as a micro ritual, but if I feel like I'm scattered to the winds, and I need to just come back into myself and focus. I hate to even say the word right now, but the truth is I hold an ice cube in my hand.
That is a ritual, yes.
Okay.
A ritual is
And
anything you do repeatedly that has meaning for you. So that would be a ritual.
so yeah, hold an ice cube in my hand, because the coldness will bring you back into your body. It'll snap you right back.
I'm not going to do that. But, you know,
You don't have to hold it for a long time.
I'm not going to do that. We know I don't like cold. We've already had this
Right,
conversation multiple times. I am
No
not a cold, loving, liking, and this weekend's making it not even tolerating kind of girl. So I ain't doing that one. But that is a ritual for sure, and you have at it.
Well, someone told me a long time ago, and I'm trying to think if it was you, Michelle, like when you're having an anxiety attack and your brain is just scattering and you're having an anxiety attack and you need to stop it. You know, if you're driving or whatever, you stop at the first convenience store, go to where they sell the ice, and just stick your arm in the ice.
That
And
was not me.
it was not you, okay?
Not me.
But it
never knew that.
It stops your anxiety attack because it gives your brain another focus. It like restarts your brain, because you're freaking out over whatever, they may even be things that don't exist or whatever. You stick your arm in the ice machine and your brain knows what it needs to focus on. It's just like, what? And it helps. And so even, holding an ice cube helps me come back into my body.
So, like, I can understand the science and the reasoning behind that, but I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not pleasant. It might not be pleasant.
Like, I can understand the science and the reasoning behind people doing polar plunges, but I'm not going to do that.
Oh, no, I'm not going to do that either.
Or taking cold showers or anything like that. Not going to happen. Not doing it.
No.
I mean, no. Oh. What about you, Bailey? What is a micro ritual that works for you?
Like if I notice something is, I have cues so I know when things are not flowing in the way they should flow. So, if I get a cue once, that might be a one-off, so I might not stop. But if I get two within a very short period of time, I just simply stop and think about what the cue was, and then think about what the cue is attempting to tell me. So I just stop. Doesn't matter where I am. I don't care what anybody. If I'm outside, it doesn't matter. Of course, I'm not going to let myself get run over. But even if I'm outside, I'll just stop for a second and just start paying attention. Just making sure that I am okay. Something is happening. You need to come back. You need to think. You need to marinate on what is going on, and then again, like you said earlier, just take a breath for a second, count, and then that usually works for me.
For me, I like to take my right hand and put it on my heart and my left hand on my belly, kind of around the solar plexus area, somewhere between there and the sacral area. And just pause, holding myself like that and breathing. That is the micro ritual that always feels good to me and works.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I love, I use the word minimum viable when I was talking about pagan's minimum viable ritual, but minimum viable spirituality. What still works on your absolute worst day if you could do this and nothing else? If you had to just pick one spiritual practice for your hardest days, what would it be?
Me, it would be either between lighting a candle or lighting some incense.
Yeah, I was going to say light a candle. I mean, one thing for my hardest days, at the very, very least, I could light a candle and just not meditate, but just be quiet
Mm-hmm.
for a few minutes. You know, light a candle, just gaze into the flame and just be quiet.
I have to say, for me, that is it, except when I can't even do that. Because, like I said at the beginning, there's days lately where I'm just too exhausted, tired, don't have the energy to even light a candle. So, for that, it would be just laying in the bed by myself, away from everybody, not thinking about anything, just laying there and being quiet in stillness and not doing anything and not thinking about anything. And if I can do that, then that helps me to feel at least somewhat spiritual.
Yeah. And that is a form of meditation, to just be still and not let the thoughts swirl, not think about, oh, I need to get up and do this and this and this, and what am I going to do when this happens? Just to be quiet and still for a few minutes.
Yep. What's a practice you've kept because it's simple enough to actually do?
I have to go back to my morning ritual of my coffee spell, just drawing a sigil in my coffee and drinking it in the morning while I get myself together. Marshaling my thoughts and my energy.
Yeah, I do the same, except I used to.
I send Reiki into my food and drinks before I consume it.
Oh yeah.
Just to give it good energy. I mean,
Right.
energy is energy, and I don't believe that there's bad energy or good energy. There's just intention behind the energy. But to put good intention in the energy that is going into the things that I consume. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend I do it all the time, because I don't. Sometimes I don't even think about it.
Right.
But when I do think about it and I actually stop to do it, I notice a difference. It's noticeable when I Reiki my things before I consume them. But yeah, I don't even do that all the time because I don't think about it all the time. I mean, let's be honest. I'm human.
Yep. We are.
What is one practice, ritual, whatever that you do, not all the time, not something that you do daily, but that is supportive for you? And like when you do this thing, you know that it helps you, even if it doesn't feel different in the moment, but you know that it's helping you.
Well, similar to the food thing, I do that sometimes. I was just thinking the other day I have to get back into doing that on a regular basis, especially now. But like if I purchase things outside of food, I won't use them until I sit them somewhere and like in front of a candle or something to let it absorb some of my energy before I use it.
That's a good idea. I mean, I guess for that, for that question, I would have to go with the food thing too. I mean, a supportive spiritual practice that I know is working, even if I can't feel it, is, intention and, flooding intention or flooding energy with, calm intentions or healthy intentions or whatever into the food or drink.
For me, I do fire ceremonies where I have a fire, and it's best if I can do it outside with a bonfire, but that's obviously not always possible. And not just because of I can't go outside and have a bonfire in the daggum snow, but there's just times that it's not possible. So in those times, if it's just a candle in the house, that'll work. But a fire and a stick, and if it's a candle, if I'm inside and I'm using a candle, then I might get a little piece of the broom, the strand from the broom, the little straw, and use that in place of a stick. But I will use the stick or the straw or the whatever, and I will think about something that I need to release from my life or my body or whatever. And I will focus on that thing that I need to release, and then I will blow it into the stick.
Okay.
And then burn the stick in the fire to release it from my life. And most of the time I can feel some kind of release when I'm doing it, but not all the time. But even if I don't feel it, I know it's working because the energy is from the simple act of breathing it out of me into the stick is moving energy. And then, of course, burning it is releasing energy. So whether I feel it or not, I know it's working on a physical level, in an elemental level. So yeah, even when I can't feel it, I know it's working. And that's my favorite ritual. But I don't do it a lot. I don't even do what I would call enough. And I really need to get back to doing that. And I'm going to get back to doing that more frequently. Because it has been a while and it is my favorite.
Yeah, I like that.
So something that you alluded to a little bit ago, Tegan, is anger. Anger can be deeply spiritual, even though we don't tend to talk about it in that form. So how do you tell the difference between righteous and cleansing anger versus anger that's consuming rage?
I would define them as healthy anger and unhealthy anger. I would differentiate them that way, as in a healthy anger, a good anger, and an unhealthy anger. And healthy anger inspires you to action. It points you in the right direction. It crystallizes your belief, or whatever it is that's making you angry. It kind of crystallizes things for you. It crystallizes your purpose. It inspires you to do something about it, and it points you in the direction of where to go. Whereas unhealthy anger is consuming, and it never completes the cycle. It just keeps burning hotter and hotter. You get madder and madder, and more angry, but you don't do anything. It doesn't point you into a direction. It just it's consuming you. That's an unhealthy anger. That's when you're not feeding on your anger. The anger is actually feeding on you.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, I can tell the difference based on how I feel. If I feel like my anger is inspiring me to do something and to take action, versus if it just makes me mad and I just want to stew in it. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes, let's be honest, sometimes you just want to stew in it.
Yeah, definitely, but that's not helping you. It's not
No,
helping
it's not.
anybody, you know. But if it really inspires you and, you know, empowers you to finally get up and do something, that's a healthy anger.
Yeah. And I know when I feel like I just want to stew in the anger, I will honor that and give myself like a set amount of time where I will just go with it and just think all the angry thoughts about the situation that I want to, just to get it out of me. And then when that time is up, then it's like, okay, I'm done with this. Let's move on. Because if I don't give myself the time to do it, it's just going to keep being there low key trying to run the show. But if I at least give myself, even if it's just 10 minutes to sit and just be as angry as I want to be for 10 minutes and I can get it out, then I can just move on and be done. And then that doesn't have to run my life or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the inspiring anger, I actually give myself the permission and the ability to do something in some way, depending on what I'm capable of doing. Because depending on what I'm angry about, there are some things I don't have the ability to do what I would want to do, but I
Yeah.
can find something that I can do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some things you literally have no power over.
Exactly.
And those are the things that make us the angriest. So, you know, you have to find some way to channel that anger.
Exactly.
I agree with those. Also, sometimes I might write. Is it spontaneous writing? Just write.
That's
So,
a good way to get your feelings out.
yeah. So, acknowledge them, let them know that, they've been seen. But, like Michelle said, you got a time limit because you don't want to be caught up in it forever. So
Right.
after a certain point, release it, or, rinse and repeat if necessary.
So I think I've covered everything I really want to cover right now that's coming to me. Do either of you have anything else you really want to say?
Well, you did have a question on here that
Oh, I
I
have a
was
lot of questions.
dying. You have one that I was like dying to answer.
Then tell us the question and answer it.
The question was, what spiritual advice makes you want to scream when you're in crisis?
Oh, yeah, that is a good one. So what makes you
And
scream?
this is what started getting my anger flowing is your soul chose this.
Oh God, I know.
Oh,
Oh,
In the
oh,
fuck would you say that to somebody who's going through something? Oh, your soul chose this. You made a contract, and your
you
soul
signed up for
need
this before
I
this lifetime.
know. Oh my God. When somebody says that, and somebody actually said that, I
Yeah.
very rarely, y'all know I very rarely go on Facebook. I just, I don't. But I was flipping through and somebody wrote some big old essay on there about ICE and immigration and Minneapolis and all the people getting killed. And they said, but remember, their souls chose to go through the. I'm like, what the actual fuck?
Yeah, that is a big fuck you moment. Go fuck
Yes.
yourself, and not in the good way. And not in the good way.
Yes.
I'm sorry. No, that just fuck that.
Mhm.
That's
Okay, y'all, listen. We don't normally cuss like this, and this but I would make sure that I have the explicit tag for this episode. That's a big fuck you moment. Sorry.
It
Not
is.
sorry. that
Yeah.
drives me insane.
That, I mean, one surefire way to piss me off is to start preaching that shit, because it may be true. I mean, I believe it may be true that in between lives, maybe we're here to learn lessons, and maybe we plan some things that can help our souls learn the lesson it needs to learn. But even on the off chance that that is true, you don't say that to somebody,
Right. We don't know what the before life and the afterlife is. None of us know. We just know what we believe. But if it's true, that's that's no different than the uber Christian people telling somebody, if you don't get saved by Jesus, you're going to burn in hell.
Right.
It's the same fucking thing. And I actually had somebody tag in one time tell me that. I don't talk about the traumatic experiences I had as a child a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I've certainly not talked about them on this podcast, and this is not the place for that. But I had a person one time, no lie, tell me, well, as bad as that is, Michelle, you signed up for it in this lifetime. You knew that was going to happen, and your soul chose it for a reason.
See, I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
I don't talk
who
to that
told
person
them that? Who told them that? That's what I want to know. Because so many people
I mean,
say
it's
that
like
now.
telling the woman who's been raped that she was asking for it because she was wearing a skirt, See, my holy anger is
I'm going to stew in this for a while now. Let me tell you that. I'm going to stew in this anger for a while.
Yes, I'm telling everybody that's the sound of my voice, do not say that to someone and think you're actually helping.
Even if it is what you believe, because I'm sure you believe it, because why would you say it if you didn't believe it?
Yeah.
You can believe that fully 100%. Okay, that is totally fine and dandy for you to believe that, but keep that shit to yourself.
Yes, especially when you're talking to someone who's going through something.
Right.
I mean,
telling somebody who just lost a spouse or a child or something, well, they're in a better place. They're not.
Yeah, that's crazy. Anymore. That's crazy. Say that to somebody.
Screw you. Not you, but the person who says that. Yes, you really wanted to answer that question, didn't you?
I did. I was like, yes, I have an answer for this.
Well, that's good. I was just skimming through them a minute ago, and I was like, I think I've covered everything in other questions, because some of them were kind of repetitive. And I just skipped over that one when I was glancing through them. So.
Well, I did not mean to get everybody all riled up.
No, it's a good thing, because it needed to be addressed.
Right.
Yes. Instead of being depressed, let's be mad.
We got
let's
some
be angry
going on with that one. Oh, might as well say it now after all the F-bombs we've been throwing. We don't big dick energy. We got big rich energy. Big Oh, goodness. Well, were there any other questions that anybody's just dying to talk about?
No, that was the only one.
Yeah, I think that covered it.
I will say that this whole conversation has done wonders for my spiritual practice. Oh,
That's good.
and that's part of the reason I was like, no, I don't want to stop doing this. I can't do the 2 episodes a month right now, but I still need to do it. Because I need
Well,
recommendations.
well, I mean, that's another thing that we can say for when you're in crisis is try to find a way to laugh at something,
Yes.
because it will lighten your spirits. Give yourself permission. I know things might, even when things are really, really bad and it feels like you're betraying something, find a way to laugh.
Yeah, because
Talk
we
to your
talked about
friends.
some heavy things in this discussion.
I know.
And we're ending with daggum ICE murders in Minneapolis and childhood trauma and grief and death and all this, but we're still laughing. So,
Laughter truly, I'm not saying the best medicine, but it is a good medicine.
yeah, it really will make you feel better.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, you can turn on Netflix and find some Marx Brothers comedy from back in the day, and that'll get you. That's what was on TV at my house today while we're snowed in. It was some Marx Brothers.
I'll tell you what I watch. It seems like I saw it on Netflix, but for some reason I couldn't watch it. But if you go to like BritBox or Acorn, the British shows, the Goes Wrong show. Literally, yes. I was laughing out loud all by myself. Sitting on the couch watching these shows, I could not help but laugh out loud because they're so stupid.
So I'm looking
they're
now, so I can
hilarious. Now it's this little like crappy theater troupe, like a community theater troupe, and they're trying to put on plays and productions, but anything you can imagine, everything you can imagine goes wrong during their play. And I'm sorry, but it was so funny, especially if you have any kind of theater background and you know what goes into like making a show in the theater. Like every fucking thing goes wrong. It's just so funny. It's really funny.
I'm gonna have
that's all I can say.
Sure. Yeah.
Especially like the first episode of the very first season when they're trying to do this scary Halloween haunted mansion play and like everything in the show goes wrong. It is really, really funny.
That's hilarious. I am going to look that up and watch it.
I recommend it.
So, if nobody else has anything else they want to say, I'm going to leave you with this. If you're in crisis, your spiritual work is not about doing it perfectly. It's not about being calm. And it sure as hell isn't about doing some big ritual you don't have the energy for. But if you have the energy and you're a big ritual person, then go for it. Spiritual work is not abandoning yourself. And if all you can do today is drink water, take your meds, breathe, and get through the next hour, that counts. You don't have to earn support. You don't have to perform healing. Just stay with yourself. And if this episode helped you, send it to someone who's going through it, because we all know people who are going through it. The friend who's silent, the family member who's snapping at everybody, the friend who's pretending they're fine. You're not alone in this. And we will be back next time. Bye.
Bye.